Well, this year, multiple cyber attacks on government and private digital infrastructure have exposed the vulnerability in Nigeria's information and technology sector. During the 2023 general elections, there were reported cases of local and foreign cyber attacks in Nigeria. Now, government officials said about 13 million cyber attacks from within and outside Nigeria were recorded during the presidential and National Assembly elections. Attempts were made to hack government websites, servers, private organizations, individuals' data, and emails. Moreover, Nigeria and other African countries like Egypt, South Africa, and Kenya lose $2.4 billion annually to cybercrime. I'm joined now by the chairman of the African Union Cybersecurity Expert Group, Abdul-Hakeem Ajijola. Good to see you, and thanks for your time. You know, when we talk about cyber attacks, first let's break it down, because sometimes it looks as if it can only occur within the space called Nigeria. But there seem to be some attempts from even outside Nigeria, as we experienced during the last general elections.
Well, thank you, Suleiman. First of all, let me start with my own condolences to the people of my state, Ondo State, on the passing of our beloved governor. Now, back to your question. Of course, today we live in a global village, and thereby, what happens here, impacts other places, and also people in other places impact here. Indeed, there is a famous saying that, the cyber criminals operate at the speed of light, and their activities are borderless, while law enforcement operates at the speed of law, and they are limited by jurisdiction. So there's a natural mismatch, and one also has to factor this into it. But if I may just say, it's not that nothing is happening. We had in 2023, this year that is closing, we had Operation Delilah, and I think we also had Operation Killer Bees, which actually targeted business email compromise activities. Indeed, it was a global network that was taken down that was actually rooted in Nigeria. And between the Nigerian police and the EFCC and the other partners, they actually got some people, sentenced. So it's not as if nothing is happening.
How vulnerable or otherwise, or how strong is our cyberspace?
Well, I would say that it's not much different from any other place in the world. For example, with Internet of Things devices, such as cameras, security cameras and the like. Across Africa, we've seen studies that show that South Africa actually suffers 28% of the vulnerabilities. Kenya, for example, suffers about 12%, and Nigeria actually suffers close to 6%. So again, it may not be because of what we are doing, but so far, we're not at the bottom of the table, but certainly there is a lot of room for improvement. And I think this is one of the areas that Nigeria does need to work very hard on. For example, we do need to be able to improve our coordination, break down our information silos, and allow information to flow not just between law enforcement groups, but also between the public, the private sector, academia, civil society, even the media. We all need to be involved in tackling this. And so certain types of information need to more freely circulate so that we can build better awareness, so that we can spread this information in a way that's digestible to, for example, Mama Alakara or Malam, Mekose or Mama Okpa. We have to be able to reach them, because today they are using quite sophisticated, for example, telephones as endpoints, and therefore, they are actually where part of the vulnerability comes in.
Well, now in that case, it takes two to tango, as they say. We need people, we need an informed and a well-educated society or community to ensure that the work that you and your other colleagues are doing are well protected. Now, how much of that awareness have we actually sold out to the people?
Definitely not enough. A lot more needs to be done. But again, let me just try to emphasize the positive. Earlier this year, or about 2 months ago, the National Board for Technical Education has started developing, for example, a cybersecurity syllabus specifically targeted at generating that middle-level technical capability for our nation. And so those are the kind of initiatives that we hope or we believe will bear fruit. But certainly, I would start with the need for much better information flow, certainly much better coordination among the different services and these other stakeholder groups. And indeed, people like myself would actually call for the establishment of basically an independent cybersecurity agency, which we've found in the other leading countries of Africa. Mauritius is ahead of us. Morocco is ahead of us. Kenya is ahead of us. Ghana is ahead of us. I mean, Ghana has a cybersecurity agency that's dedicated to this, and so do these other countries. And so these are part of the advantages because they have people who are permanently focused, and that is their basically reason for the agency's existence. And I think today it's become an important enough problem that such an agency needs to be established.
Let's see if we can close on this, and it has to do with the coming year 2024. What is Africa expecting from the Union of Cybersecurity Experts?
Well, first and foremost, we are expecting our Africa Child Online Protection Policy to be approved by the ministers at the African Union. We are also expecting our draft on an African cybersecurity strategy to sail through. Also, we're expecting some templates in terms of certain legislation so that countries can at least have some kind of harmonization. And very importantly, we hope to build on a great success of 2023, which was the coming into force of the Malabo Convention, which is the African Union Convention on Cybersecurity and Data Privacy. And with this coming into force, basically, we now have to work very assiduously to make sure that it is properly implemented. And on this note, as a Nigerian chairing this African committee, I would plead with our own government to please assent to it so that Nigeria is at the table. Because the first thing we have to do is upgrade it, improve it, because it was developed several years ago. And as a Nigerian, it would be an honor for me to see my country as part of the group that are improving on this particular document. It's quite embarrassing, frankly, to chair a committee where your country is actually not moving as quickly as other African countries.
I get a sense of that. I'd like to thank you for your time, Abdul-Hakeem Ajijola, Chairman, African Union Cybersecurity Experts Group.